Hello everybody, it's me again.
Yes.
But not for long this time, we have a little breather. I'm delighted to welcome Peter French, who a lot of you will know is a very prominent Remain campaigner and pro-EU campaigner and pro-Rejoin campaigner. And I need only leave him to speak now. Okay.
Hello everyone. God, it's a great afternoon, isn't it? Fabulous. I just want to say something about the star I brought along. In the media this week, there's been lots of talk about the fact that we're a very changed country. Partly because of the referendums, anniversary referendum yesterday. And yes, we are a changed country. It's hard to believe that 11 years ago we held the Olympics. I don't think this country could actually do that now. It's extraordinary. But yes, we are very different from 2016. We're poorer, we're angrier, we're less friendly, we're hostile. Fortunately, mostly negatives. Except for one thing. Suddenly the tide has turned. We are a changed country. We are now an anti-Brexit country. For the first time, we've established this week that we now are anti-Brexit. So it's in our court now. We can actually build this. And it's up to us, because if we wait for the politicians, we'll be dead before they act. So if we want to change it, exactly, it's the will of the people. It's up to us. It's up to us around the country to change people's hearts and minds and start telling the truth. Because we still need to do that. We still need to correct the untruths that we're told. Right, the referendum and since. There's still enough people who believe what they were told. And if we want to get the percentages right in order to rejoin, we have to change those hearts and minds. But we have to do it in a way that doesn't patronise, in a way that says that they're not to blame, it's the people who lied to them to blame. And so with that in mind, I wanted to find something more positive, a positive strategy that we could use going forward instead of relying on the acrimony and the lies of the past. And this is when it came up with the star. Now, symbolically, it just represents that star that fell off the flag in the press when we left the EU. But we would like this to act as a talisman to keep us on our path back to the EU. Since our government has eroded much of the values of our society, we'd like to think that this represents the values of the EU, and we can use that as our guideline. But for the last 2.5 years, Guy Verhofstadt has embarked on an experiment. He created people's assemblies throughout Europe, 800 people. And we wanted to find out what the people of Europe wanted for the EU nations for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And they were so astounded by the results of it that they're now trying to implement 47 of those recommendations into the EU constitution. It's quite groundbreaking. Healthcare, they want healthcare for everybody at source, the same healthcare for everybody. Pensions, way above ours. Climate change is extraordinary, less reliance on cars. So it's going to be a very different EU in the next 10, 20, 30 years because the people are desiring it to be. So it got me thinking that we have never actually been asked what we want for our country. We're told often enough what we're going to have or how it's going to be, but we've never been asked, how do we want this country to be? How do we want to develop? How do we want it to grow? How do we want to be seen by the rest of the world? And so I thought it's time that we took charge, we took back that power and asked those questions. So using that template of what Guy Verhofstadt has just done, we're going to do this with a star, and a bigger star. We're going to take it around the country asking that question, what does Britain want for itself? How do we want to see ourselves in the next 10, 20, 30 years? But rather than to make it essentially just about Rejoin, we want to find a way to actually attract people who voted leave. Those who are doubting, because now more than ever it's really important we find a way to meet them and have a discourse, and hopefully we can change hearts and minds just through being nice and being rational about it and telling the truth. And in some way, in the next 2 years, 3 years, we can use what's happening in Europe as a comparison to where we are now. So for example, at any one time, if there's a discussion about the economy in some one of the slow cities, we can say, well, this is what's happening in Europe, and this is what they've chosen for themselves. Their pensions is this amount, the healthcare is this. Maybe people in the assemblies will start to say, wait a minute, why is ours not like that? Why is ours not that high? What do we want? We want that. But hopefully, I mean, the idea is to make people so that when it comes to another referendum, if we should have one, or a general election, that people make an informed choice. It's not based on untruths. It's not based on lies. So that's the purpose behind the stars. They're really a way to facilitate talk, to get people talking again and bring this country together again, I hope, but in a correct way, in a better way. And what better way to actually really rub it in Boris's face, having both sides talking to each other, to make sure that his division does not work. Dividing the country does not work. Because enough of that, we've had that. It's Farage and Boris and all of them trying to divide us. So that's basically the campaign. It's called Choosing Our Future. So to take the control back to us. And I really do believe that this is about us changing this country. And we can do it. There are enough of us. There are groups in every corner of this country. And if with the network of using the strategy of this, everybody can follow, we can inform people. We can actually talk to our next door neighbour or perhaps down the street and have that rational talk. It gets them thinking. Once you get them thinking, then hopefully they'll think for themselves. So that's the idea. I'd like to hopefully, some people are already in some of the host cities. We've got 6 coming up in the autumn. But after the Christmas, we'll then go around the country again into more centres and start set up people's assemblies. Because that's the way we're going to find out what people want across the country. Because what some people need in the southwest is not what they need in the northwest. And we need to find those things out now. Because we need to make this country a fairer place for everyone to live in, where everyone has the same chance, the same opportunities. Because it is not working the way we're living now, and the way we're governing now. Hopefully we can change that. So, thanks very much indeed.